Web3.tv.
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Simon Molitor, the entrepreneur, tech disruptor, and blockchain expert. You are the co-founder and CEO of Solana ID, a platform identity solution that allows users to securely link their digital data footprints to specific crypto wallets. You help people take control of their digital identities and help businesses identify users to attract them with tailored rewards. Solana ID is a unique opportunity to shape the future of Web3, to create a fairer system where users, not corporations, own their personal data. Your goal is to disrupt the Web2 attention economy that has been monopolized by big tech giants like Google, Facebook, and Amazon. Ultimately, you believe that establishing a digital layer of trust is essential for improving human interactions and that blockchain technology can help us innovate the outdated models of the past. Simon, welcome to London Real in Dubai.
Brian, you did your homework. That was beautiful. I couldn't have said it better, actually. That was a very good, brief introduction, and I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Look, it's great to have you here. I want to start by saying that Solana ID is one of our portfolio companies here at London Real Ventures, the world's first media-powered investment firm, where our mission is to transform the world by investing in cutting-edge Web3 and AI companies while giving our partners marketing exposure across the London Real media platforms and academies. We heighten awareness, create customers, and build communities by leveraging our global audience and extensive network. Simon, we are super excited to be part of this journey with you. So let's jump in. What is Solana ID?
There's a few answers I could give you, but I give you the simple one. For now, we're the fastest growing identity layer on the Solana blockchain. Solana itself is one of the leading platforms for blockchain right now that's in the world. You have Ethereum and then you have Solana. So it's basically on the top 2 spot right now for smart contract platforms. And Solana ID is primed to be the flagship identity protocol for that platform. So all kinds of identity-related topics will be resolved by us. It starts with Sybil resistancy, which is bot protection, distinguishing humans from bots and AI agents in the internet. It will become more and more important in the future. Solana ID can help. But it also goes into a very specific sector that we kind of found for us as the most fruitful business model at the beginning, which is targeted marketing based on sovereign identity data. So basically, we're helping the user, who's the data owner, to actually really own the data, control it, and monetize on top of it, while sharing that data with verifiers, basically advertisers, which are businesses built on the Solana blockchain, applications built on the Solana blockchain that are already right now thriving and are active. But they need better solutions to identify the right users in the crowd. Because privacy is great. In crypto, you have lots of it. You're completely private. But how the heck does a business do targeted marketing to a target persona, to the right customer persona, if you don't know who is behind that wallet and you don't have any data on it? And there's plenty of data on-chain. We make sense of that data. And we also help the user to set up a Solana ID profile and linking off-chain data to the same profile to enrich it. And now he becomes basically a very interesting target for a marketing budget of a company to spend money on attract that awareness of that user. So just trying to distinguish between, the real value adding users to a DApp and the ones that are just like farming or bots that you don't really want to attract, right? If you solve that problem for an application on Solana, that's very big. Once we conquered Solana, I think we're ready to explore wider integrations in other blockchains and even the whole internet.
Okay, this is powerful because like you said, people usually come into crypto and blockchain because of the privacy, because they don't want people to know who they are. But then they miss out on all the potential opportunities. Web 2 has this down, right? They put cookies in your browsers, they get your logins on these social platforms, they have your data, and then they market to you accordingly, and they make a ton of money.
It's the biggest industry in the internet. Targeted marketing is the biggest industry. Why do you think the biggest companies are Facebook and Google? Because those are the data monopolies. And we also call them identity providers in Web 2, which is funny, because they provide an identity for you, right? But they govern it, they hold it, they have all the data of your digital identity, which is the data you basically leave as a trace, the footprint you leave in the internet by navigating through all the websites where the cookies are installed, by using your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile, your WhatsApp, like all these applications that have huge traction. But the problem here is the data is always with the monopoly and with the ID provider, and they have a take rate of almost 100%, which means they take all the money that's being made on that data. But you're kind of owning it, no? At least you should. And we didn't have the tools yet in Web 2 to build a system that can solve that problem. with a fairer distribution. But in crypto, we can build a system that's more self-sovereign, that is still very efficient. It's a big lift, not gonna lie. It's not an easy task to build such a company. We tried it before Solana ID, and we kind of failed. I would say we failed. We can dig into that topic as well. But with the pivot to Solana ID, what we did very well is attach a big name, Solana, to a project identity, and then use that to make more noise and establish ourselves very quickly as the flagship ID protocol on Solana, even before we had any product, right? And then people believed like, okay, they're onto something. Solana is big, Solana ID must be big, right? We kind of rode that wave, and now we're having the product. Now we have users. But we needed that bootstrap. That it was a strategic smart decision, I would say.
Yeah, and once we talk about the protocol, I want to talk about marketing because, you know, in disguise, I think you're a master marketer. I think the 7 immutable laws of marketing, it always says, never be number 3 or 4 in your category, be number 1. So you're not one of many identity layers, you're the number 1 identity layer on Solana, which is one of the greatest brand names in the world. So that makes a big difference, right? It's attention. And going back to Web 2, if anybody's watching us or listening to us right now, they always say, if you're not the customer, you're the product.
100%.
And meanwhile, we're giving our data away to all these companies and they're literally selling it back to us. Yeah. I remember I sat down with Yatsu of Animoca Brands, and he calls it digital colonialism, something that the Brits perfected, right? We roll into your country like India, we take all your resources like your cotton, then we manufacture it and we sell it back to you, literally. Yeah. We take it and sell it back to you, and that's what these Web 2 companies do. And we don't even know it, and so we're walking around kind of blind, kind of like a third world country that just doesn't get it. And now Web 3 comes. It's an amazing opportunity. But it hasn't really been cracked yet, has it?
It has not been cracked. But in my opinion, personally, when I started to be aware of crypto before 2020, right? When it was already something, but still a very small niche, I looked at it and I was like, wow, I think the biggest use case for this technology will be data sovereignty. So ownership of data, true ownership of data, which is why tokens work, why NFTs work, right? Because you actually own the digital asset and no one can tamper with it. But we're talking about data that can be personal data as well. That can be identity data. And I thought this is huge for the internet. This is an internet revolution. Back then I was working in health tech, and I was like, I need to be part of this because, I was in my 20s. I'm still in my 20s. But I will have this chance once in a life that I can actually be part of a technology that will change the internet for the next probably 100 years, right? I'll be dead when the next revolution comes. Like the evolution of the internet. Like the next one, I'll be probably dead. So I need to be part of this one. And I made the decision, okay, I think we need to work in this field. And I thought data sovereignty will be the biggest factor that will drive adoption in that space. We haven't seen it until today because it's just such a heavy lift to bootstrap a platform that does that. But I think now we're closer than ever because we have the attention now from the masses on the sector itself. We have a lot of volume locked in DeFi platforms. We have a lot of active wallets on chain, on Ethereum, on Solana. There's a lot of activity and it's growing a lot. We have the capital that's flowing in. We have the attention of institutions. We have ETFs. We have so much attention on the sector. I think if we want to build innovative products now in that field, then we should do it now.
It's a perfect time. And the data you can get in Web 3 is far superior to the data you can get in Web 2. Potentially, if you look at a wallet's activity, I mean, it can tell you so much. A lot of people don't even know that when they first get into blockchain. But since it's a public blockchain, anybody can look at your wallet and see everything you've ever done. And so it's got a massive source of data, would be perfect for a user or a company. It's just no one's really brought it all together yet.
Yeah, not really, because at least not on the kind of consumer front. When we're talking about business models like building a targeted ad network, on top of this data, right? Someone needs to make sense of this data because the sheer fact that there is a lot of on-chain data also means that there's a lot of noise, right? So you need algorithms and you need models that are able to, go through the noise, find the signal, and put it in a human-readable format. So we're indexing all data on Solana, which is quite a heavy lift itself. So we look back, like you give me a wallet account, I look back to the genesis of that wallet, and I see everything that this wallet did, right? And then I need to put this in a human readable form. I need to know, okay, what does this number mean? He put liquidity in a liquidity pool. What does this number mean? Oh, he bought an NFT, right? How many NFTs did he buy? What's the diversity of assets this account is holding? What is the trading history on leverage trading platforms? how many times did this person get liquidated? There's so much data, which is there, but you need to put it in a human readable form and make it easy for verifiers and apps to query this data, right, through a protocol, and then make decisions on top of it. And when, like, if you hear that as a user, you might think, oh, it's so public, you know, like, actually it's not private, which is funny, because we started the conversation by saying privacy is one of the biggest USPs of crypto, but it's kind of a pseudo-privacy, right? Because you are not identified who you are, and Solana ID is not doing that as well, by the way. What we in crypto, we say we're not doxing people. That means we're not putting your personal identifiable information, which is your name, Brian Rose, or your passport number, which I don't know. But we don't put these things on chain. We put them nowhere really, where someone can read them out. But we make sense of the data verifiably that we have on chain, that we can see, which is kind of beautiful. That goes in the direction of the whole concept of zero knowledge proofs, where you know things about someone without knowing that someone. And you can make decisions based on that data.
Do you zero knowledge that data? So if I come in and I want to use Solana ID, I want to set up my ID, I start sharing with you some of my Web2 socials.
Yeah.
Do you have that compartmentalized?
Yes, sir.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Right?
We're actually working with a company that you are aware of as well.
ZK Pass.
Which is ZK Pass.
Another one of our investments. Yeah. Great group of people.
Very good team. We'll keep kind of innovating together with them on certain fields. The next thing we're going to roll out is a mobile flow to basically create your ZK proofs of your credentials from your Twitter account, your LinkedIn account, everything you do in Web2, make a ZK proof on top of that with your mobile phone very quickly and put it in your Solana ID account. So we're going to know if you have a Twitter account, and you're also going to know how many followers you might have, or if you're above a certain threshold. We can even check your bank balance without knowing who you are and still give that verifiably true number to someone on chain, which is a nice flow because you literally have you don't need to worry about any kind of privacy implications here, because we never tell them who you are, but we tell them what you are to an extent, I would say, which is perfect. Everyone gets what they want.
Yeah, and for people that don't understand the importance of ZK, like if you're kind of in the Web2 world, like we hear all the time there are these data breaches. You know, I go to websites all the time and they'll be like, oh, you better change your password because we've had a data breach. Like this happens to big banks, this happens to huge corporations. Yeah. So all your data is now in the hands of someone else because they didn't protect it. And so I don't like hearing that when I go to these websites. I'm like, wow, great. And but with what you're doing with ZKs, you know, you can verify that you tick certain boxes. Yeah. It's like applying for a loan at your bank. They don't know your bank balance, but they know it's enough to get the loan. They don't know your passport number, but they know you're a citizen of the UK. And it's an incredible way forward. I'd say blockchain has really embraced ZK, and they're implementing it more.
I mean, it is a cryptographic technology. Yeah. That's been, even before blockchain were a thing, people were working on the technology behind ZK proofs. Because it is a cryptographic signature at the end of the day. It only works with moon math, what the people call. There's actually a big paper on this topic. Very technical, very complex. I don't comprehend it fully, but it does the job, right? Which is this kind of magic box where you put things in, it computes something, and it puts an output that is now verifiably true without knowing the inputs. Yeah. The system makes sense.
So I actually interviewed Professor Silvio Macaulay of MIT, who I think came up with zero knowledge proofs. He also runs Algorand, and I went to MIT, so we had a good chat about it. And he was trying to explain to me how he came up with that stuff. But it was intense. Yeah, you know, a lot of that cryptography that he was building in the '60s and '70s created what we have today. It's intense.
I need to revisit that conversation.
Yeah, super cool math. And so, okay, if I'm a user, why do I want to use Solana ID? Okay, I'm out there. I'm whatever. Maybe I'm new to the chain. Maybe I'm buying some meme coins. Maybe I'm an OG and I'm doing a lot more other more sophisticated stuff. Yeah. And I like being anonymous. Yeah. What's the upside in coming and setting up my Solana ID with you?
Quick answer: you're VIP on Solana. You become a more important account for the apps, and they will give you value in exchange for your ID. You can squeeze out more value from your wallet. So if you're already using certain apps and we are partnered with them, you have a better user experience with them with the Solana ID than without. You might get more points in their point system. You might be eligible for some airdrops that they do in future because of the ID you hold and the quality of it. You might be able to access early features that other people are not able to access. So there's a wide array of possible perks you can get, but those are exclusive for ID holders that either come with certain tiers and certain traits already, right? Because our ID is not, you're not setting it up once and then that's equal for everyone. No, it's an identity, it's individual, right? So people have different tiers, they have different scores, they have different credentials, right? But if you're eligible for a certain perk and a certain kind of thing that you can get on chain, then only with Solana ID. So I think the biggest the easiest way to explain it is this kind of VIP status on chain, which is interesting for people that are new to the chain, because if you're new to Solana, at least you can now bring your data from Web 2 and you arrive as someone, right? Instead of a fresh wallet with no data at all. Because you have definitely disadvantage if you arrive to Solana as a fresh wallet, no one knows you. Solana ID couldn't give you a good kind of on-chain score because it's empty, but you can bring your off-chain credentials. It might help you to get a higher tier in our system and get you some perks on chain already. If you're already a Solana OG, like a user that's been on the chain for a long time, you connect a few of your wallets, you'll get a very good score and you can get a lot of perks on chain already with the apps that you're already using.
Nice. And I can choose for my ID to be public or not with you? Or is it always private with you?
So basically, no one ever has your Web 2 data, right? So that's one thing. It's a self-sovereign system. Right now, we're only leveraging the ZK proof part of things. So we literally just have a code, like a little identifier, right? But we don't have any private data. If we don't have private data, there doesn't need to be a privacy setting, really. But we're rolling out other features as well that are based on attestation, verifiable credentials. These technologies will give a bit more of depth to your data. So it's not just, are you above or below? It can actually be a more accurate data point from your Web 2 journey. But these will also be in a decentralized data network, not with us. Okay. And you also have the option to toggle privacy settings on and off. So you can see your history of people that tapped into your ID information. You can see, Jupiter wanted to query some data from me, or Camino queried some data. So you see all these Solana applications that used your ID to query data, and you can say, hey, this one, I don't really want them to see my data. You toggle it off. And there's no way for us to toggle it on again, because the data is with you, essentially. So our kind of North Star is always optionality when it comes to data. We want you to have the option to be very, very transparent with it, and then get the biggest rewards, make the most money on your data, get the most perks, and so on. You're highly transparent as well. But you should have the option to decide, okay, I want to opt out, and I want to keep my data for myself, and I don't want this person to access it. You don't have optionality at all in the Web 2 world when it comes to your data.
Right. And contrast this with another digital ID service. I interviewed Stanley Kulichev of Aave back in 21, cool. And he went on to create this Lens ID system that some social platforms are using. But I think that's really different. I think that's an NFT that you have in your wallet, which is then therefore public. And it's, it was an interesting take on it, but there was no optionality in there that I understand.
Yeah. And also it's more like a social network really than an identity system. If you really compare it strictly with Lens protocol. So you build profiles on chain, right, with Lens. But in our case, you really have the optionality and the sovereignty of your data. You can on-ramp off-chain data using the ZK proofs. It's a different setup. And then the whole pitch we built on top of the ID system, which is the targeted ad network, is also inherently different from a business model than what Lens is doing, or actually many other identity protocols is doing. Because here's the thing. I think many ID builders failed at coming up with a solution that people care about. Identity is great if you build a use case on top that people care about. But identity is useless if it's sovereign and you own the data and all those great pitches that sound so revolutionary. But if it doesn't do any job for me,
right?
Like what job does it do?
It doesn't give me value immediately.
Right.
I'm not going to do it.
I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Bluntly speaking. Like I won't use it, even if it's visionary. You have like a niche of people that are like, oh, interesting. I'm a privacy kind of maxi, right. I want to use it. But you need to solve a problem. Like if I will, imagine you want to get in the wait list of an application, and the wait list is 10,000 seats long, right? And you want to be the next one in the line, and there's a button that says log in with Solana ID, verify as a human, verify as a core contributor to other ecosystems. Just show me that you're valuable, right, to my ecosystem. If you can prove that to me, I'll let you join tomorrow. Now I'll click that button. I even set up my Solana ID and I'd even pay $10 for it, right, to set it up. And then I get that perk, I get that job done, early access to this application. And you can copy paste this example to completely different examples. I want to get that airdrop. I want to get that whitelist spot for this investment DAO. There's so many things I want in crypto and I can't get them because I'm too late or I'm not eligible for it or whatever. With Solana ID, you can skip the lane.
You just said something that just cut through. You said, show me that you're valuable. And if you think about it, every human pretty much all day long is trying to show they're valuable, right? By what they wear, by their accessories, by what they post on social, because the more value you can show, the more opportunities you get. And it's not a bad thing. When you go on a date, you clean yourself up and, you try to say the right things. When you want to go to a restaurant, you want the best table. when I'm pitching a company, I want them to know I'm London Real and this is our history and this is what we do and this is who I am.
Yep.
So it's like we're always trying to show how valuable we are in certain situations so we can get the most out of every situation.
That's so intangible, these things. There's no data. We're friends of data. If you can now verifiably prove that you were very valuable, it's not just like your pitch, it's not what you say, it's not what you make me feel. Those are all intangible things. I want the data. I want to click a button and see, oh wow, this guy has a big history on chain. He has these credentials in his wallet and so on. It just takes one wallet for me to verify these things, and they're verifiably true because of the tech we're using, and you get the job done. Right?
Yeah, in a world where there isn't much communication. Like in a Web3 world, I mean, I can't even associate a wallet with my social media scores. Well, except with you, I can. But right now, there's no way, even if I was trying to provide intangible value, I would be judged by my wallet and what my history was. So now there's an opportunity. And again, you said VIP. This is interesting. How many of us have had an experience where you walk up to the front door and there's a line somewhere, a restaurant or a club, and the owner or the bouncer comes out and lets you in first? Like everybody wants that feeling, right? I got a restaurant I go to in Blue Water, and I go there all the time. And when I go there, everybody comes there, shakes my hand, they give me the best table. The other day I sat at a 6-person table and I had dinner myself. And
you ate your steak.
Yeah, and they know I'm a good customer. Yeah, they know I spend well. And so everyone wins because I feel really good. I get really good treatment. And then the business wins because they get a regular high-value customer.
Yeah, and in the real world, that works well. They see your face, they know who you are.
Right.
But in crypto, you log in with your wallet and they don't know who you are, and what you are and what you did in the past. Right now, at least, there's no system really. We're still early in crypto, even if people say different. We're still early in the tech part of it, right? We're still at the frontier of technology here. So there's ways for us to innovate, and there's ways for us to build infrastructure systems like Solana ID that will be leveraged by a lot of apps throughout the internet in future. So sometimes when people ask me, like, where does this lead to? Where do you go? Just imagine you invested very early on in Google AdSense, what they do now. Because they do something similar, if you think about it. They help projects in the internet, B2B customers, to target the right people based on the data they collect, right? We're just building that system with a bit more honesty and fairer because we loop the user in. But we're building a similar system where we help apps on Solana to identify, the creme de la creme of the users and to track them to their application. And you can build a big business on top of it. Like, it's highly scalable.
And on the blockchain, there's a lot of reasons to have that identity. Like you said, whitelisted on projects, getting you access, getting you perks, getting in the front of the line. You're like, I should be in the front of the line because I'm a whale, I'm a player, whatever. But try explaining that to a whitelist. They don't care who you are. No. So this is a way.
DM the founder and ask for, like an exception, like very manual processes.
Right.
So
there's another ID system out there called Mochaverse. It's Animoca is rolling out. We're actually investors in that too. But tell me what you see there versus what you're doing as well, because those are the only two identity systems I know.
Bluntly speaking, I've sat on a table with the team and we talked about overlaps and how can we integrate with each other. And because there's overlaps, obviously, they're building an ID system for their ecosystem. We're building an ID system for the Solana blockchain. We can merge the worlds together. We can have some overlaps. We can share some data from our user base to your user base and vice versa. So I think we can build streets here that we can leverage. We're not competing because we're in a completely different niche. And also the tech stack is different right now. But I think I see those projects as potential collaborative partners for us than competitors. They're not inherently right now.
Excellent. We talked about the consumer side. Let's talk about the business side. Because how can a business plug into this? What do they get from this? Obviously, with my restaurant or club analogy, what the business really wants are the big spenders, because that's what probably gets most of the profits of a business. So they want to know who the VIP people are as well. So how do they tap into the other side of that?
Let's break it down in kind of proof of concept stage where we are right now and kind of some tangible use cases that we already rolled out. And then about the kind of next steps and the vision and where this leads to. There's like two answers to the question. Where we are today, status quo, we built a user base of 20,000 users approximately that signed up, and they got something we called the Solana ID priority pass. So it's an NFT that you hold. There's already some off-chain data linked to it, and the 20,000 user base is divided into tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4. The tier 1 is very exclusive, 1,000 accounts only. And it was very hard to get in there. And it was kind of competitive because you could do certain things, connect social media accounts, collect some badges on Discord, behave well, right? Have a good on-chain score. And then you get in that first tier. People were fighting to get in there, right? Because they knew there will be some rewards, there will be some benefits. And that's what we do now. We get approached literally by projects. Can we do an airdrop to your user base? Can we give you money? Can we send our tokens to your users because we want the creme de la creme to hold our token? So we did that just like 2 weeks ago. We did an airdrop of a meme coin to the top, I think, 10,000 approximately in the 20K list. So they kind of used our tier system to airdrop the tokens to the right accounts. They tried to identify people that, if they catch the attention of the project, will hold onto the token, maybe buy some more, but more importantly, talk about it. Talk about it on Twitter with their friends and so on. We helped them to identify these people. So that's, I think, a very tangible example because it's literally live. Like we did that, people claimed their tokens, everyone was happy, right? That's cool. The project got like a spike in media mentions when we did that because people talked about it on Twitter.
Right. I just got dropped this. Did anybody else get this?
Exactly.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Right. Reposted our tweet and so on. So we did some announcement around it as well. Now, where this leads to is a much more sophisticated campaign strategy where you have almost like a Facebook business manager for a D-app where they log in an admin portal and they can tell us, look, what kind of user do I want for my chain, for my project, for my protocol? What am I looking for? This user needs to hold a certain amount of stable coins. This user needs to have done a certain amount of volume with liquidity provisioning services. So we're basically looking for behavior data of that user, and they give us the exact data points. And then we can tell them, out of the set of 15 million wallets that we queried so far and indexed on the Solana blockchain, 1 million wallets are in your criteria set. This is your target audience. We identify this, similar to Facebook Business Manager. We can even create lookalike audiences. We can say, okay, these people did that, but we also have these people. I think they could behave similar to these people. We can come up with these solutions. And now all we need to do is to help these DApps to reach those accounts. So either those people already have set up a Solana ID and we have a way to them. They gave us their email address because they want to get informed when they have perks. Maybe they connect with some social media accounts. Maybe we have the Telegram bot out that gives you personal news when you need them. We need to reach these people, but we will help the DApp to identify the target audience based like inside of the noise of crypto, and we'll help them to reach out to them and build this kind of custom campaign. And now, for once, we can spend marketing budget in crypto in a targeted way instead of just throwing it around and seeing what works, because that's basically what the apps have been doing in the past couple of years. There's a lot of Web3 marketing techniques, if you want to say so, that are highly inefficient. Like we came up with a number when we did some research that the customer acquisition cost is 6 times higher in crypto to acquire one customer than in Web2. And it's because of that, because there's no way to target your audience really. Okay. And you're just throwing out money and then you see who comes, right? And then the biggest problem, the people that come are sometimes not the people you want. So you attracted them, you spend money on acquiring them, but then they fuck off again. Right. They're not staying.
Right. So and maybe even hurt you.
Maybe they're even bad actors.
Right. Or dumped your airdrop and caused problems. So those are the 2 phases of your business model.
Yeah. So right now we've concluded the POC, the proof of concept. We're actually shortly before launching the Solana ID beta version now, where people can create their Solana ID, where we can further bootstrap our B2C side of things, and bootstrap ID holders. And once that is live, and we're getting some traction on it, we'd start building out the B2B platform, like the actual dashboard, because that will help us to scale much quicker than doing these custom pilots with businesses that we're doing right now. Right. We have a group chat and what can we do with you? And we set up some custom campaign with them and so on.
Right. Those don't scale.
I mean, difficult, right? You need a big sales team or whatever. It just makes no sense. You need your docs, you need your portal where you can just send the business to, or they don't even have to reach out to us, right? They can just go there, log in with their account, create their account, and then set up a campaign, right? And click all the buttons and reach out to the right people through our system. And then we can just, let the business thrive. Okay, nice. So that's the B2B side. How do you scale the consumer side? Because you want to go from 20,000 to 100,000 to 2 million. Yeah, I mean, you give them more perks, right? You just tell them the story. That's how we got the 20K, right? Out of nothing. You just told them you're going to get something in return for starting with us now, right? There's going to be perks. So our job is just to make the Solana ID attractive as an identity credential on chain. So you need to want it. You need to feel like you're missing out on something. And we made that work very well in this 20K list. We get so many people asking us, can I still get the priority pass? Can I buy some? Like, no, the campaign is closed. The passes are soul-bound. You cannot transfer them. You cannot sell them, obviously. It's an ID object. So we just need to increase that kind of FOMO and scarcity around the Solana ID. And we have some good marketing campaigns with this that are a bit exclusive to make sure that we get the next milestone, which is for now 100,000 user signups, so 100,000 ID holders, which will be the next kind of wave that we're getting in a kind of short term. Okay. What's a solid score? Well, the solid score is your snapshot of your on-chain activity that you did. So everything you did on chain, a big algorithm that we've built, we run it through. We're querying right now more than 35 criteria on chain, and we're building it out constantly. So at some point it will be more than 100 probably. And then you get a human readable score from 0 to 1,000, and you're somewhere in between. And we can use that as a very easily queryable number for apps to make a decision on should we give them an airdrop or not. Okay. So it's kind of the easiest way to interact with our protocol is just creating the solid score. If you want more custom data, if you want credentials, if you want a specific set of data, you use the B2B platform that's going to be there later, where you can create your own set of criteria, right? Or right now you just hit us up and we help you to customize the flow. But right now the easiest way, the score is live, like we have it, it's going to be part of the Solana ID beta. And we're very short, actually, right now, every day we're working on it to wrap it up because it's going to be used in the next 2 weeks by people. They log in with their wallet, they get their score.
Now, can I find out my own solid score?
For sure, yeah, just log into the page. Yeah.
Can I change my solid score?
You can improve it.
I can?
Yeah.
How?
Just be more active on chain, right?
Okay.
You'll see a breakdown.
Okay.
So you click on an expand button and you see a breakdown of your score. And you see basically, why do I have 300 of 1,000 right now? Why am I there? And you see the different categories and you see, oh, I'm not so active in liquidity provisioning, right? Okay. Maybe you have like, oh, I have a different wallet account that I do liquidity provisioning with. You add it to your account, you add the second wallet, you have a new score, right? It might be better already. So you can do these things. Later on, you'll be able to use your off-chain data as well to improve the on-chain score, basically.
Like bank account balances and stuff?
Yeah.
Wow.
So create all those credentials using the CK proofs. In the first model, in the beta that we're launching right now, because at the time we speak right now, we're literally, before the first actual product launch. So quite early in the journey, if you say so. In the first beta that we're launching, the off-chain part is not going to be reflected in the score.
Okay.
It's only your on-chain footprint.
I've never heard of another ID system incorporating non-blockchain data. Like I've never heard anyone say that.
Yeah.
Like a credit score or a bank balance or whatever. But that's cool.
We're building businesses on chain. They need data. How do they get the data off chain? They don't right now. If you want to give it to them without doxing your wallet, there needs to be a system. And Nationalities is building that system. We're not stupid. We're not the only one, right? If you're the only one, you might be stupid. so there's others out there. I think the best one that I can tell you would be Gitcoin Passport on an EVM on Ethereum. So people can look that up. They've been around for a long time. They're very focused on bot protection, not the kind of business model we are building on top of it. But they came up with a pretty decent system, which is kind of similar. They have some off-chain credentials as well in their system. But that's pretty much it.
Okay, and I can also increase my VIP status on Solana ID by uploading more of my Web2 data. So if I give you my Twitter account and my YouTube account.
All flow into the same.
And that'll just give me a little bit more perks.
It might be, right? Because you'll see what kind of benefits you get on Solana. And the more data you have in your account, the more perks might pop up there. Because we might have an app that says, we only want people with 50,000 followers and more, right? For this specific thing that we do. Right. And now you have access to it. So it's almost like a membership that you have for an exclusive kind of circle, right? And only people in that circle get the perks and the benefits.
It's very cool. Let's talk about bots real quick, because this is something a lot of people talk about, but I don't think anyone really understands the scale of it. Elon famously almost didn't buy Twitter because of the bot activity. He got in, and I think he got it on the inside, and he saw that, a third of the traffic was bots or something. I don't know what it was, but it was high, and he tried to back out of the deal. Now, thank God they forced him to do the deal, but he overpaid, and he knows he overpaid, but I'm really glad he did for freedom of speech reasons, but he did. There's obviously a lot of bots in blockchain. Look, the Ton ecosystem is amazing, and Telegram is amazing, but a lot of people believe there's a huge chunk of bots there. But here's something nobody likes to talk about. There's a massive number of bots in the Google ecosystem. Now, I spent millions and millions of pounds on ads. And when I ran my mayor campaign, I was jamming. And I was doing like people in the London physical area, but I am confident that there's so many bots in the Google system, and it's a dirty secret that Google doesn't talk about. And they basically charge us a 30% premium for all your ads because they're going to nobody. And so here I am targeting people that live in the greater London area to vote for me. But I know that probably a third of those were bots. And so this isn't just a problem in Web3. It's actually a problem in Web2 that no one likes to talk about. And the companies don't like to talk about it either, because it's part of their business model.
They make money on it, no?
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of people in Web2 who spend money on advertising don't even realize this. And it's frustrating because you kind of assume it wouldn't happen. So it's like, wow, I'm targeting a lookalike audience. I'm targeting people with over 60K in income. They come to my website, they don't do anything. Well, I wonder why, because a lot of them are bots. So talk about how important this digital identity is, because we're looking to a future where there's going to be more bots, there's going to be more AI, and defining a real person is going to have a significantly increasing value.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And here's the thing, before I give the answer to the question, we're not trying to kill bots and agents, right? Because I think they will dominate the internet either way. And the thing is, with crypto, the bots start to have money accounts. So they're able to spend money. Right. So we don't really want to cut them out.
Right.
we actually just want to distinguish.
You don't dislike
them.
Bots, just bot behavior or bad bot behavior.
If they're Sybils, which is the word that we use in crypto, because it is usually used when someone is creating a large set of wallets. Okay. You know, usually bots automated things, and then they just spam your system.
Sybil.
Sybil. Sybil.
Which is short for
Sybil attack. I don't even know what the English word means.
So it's kind of bad actor bots.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
well said, because there are good bots out there.
Exactly. They do transactions.
They have funds now.
Especially with AI, like with the agent economy, you get actually bots that are smart. They know what they do, and they now have private keys to a crypto account. They can spend money, and they can make decisions on spending the money.
I know.
So just think a few years ahead, right? That's why I say we don't want to kill that economy. We have nothing against it. We just want to help apps to make sense of the data and to identify who's human, who's agent. Right? That's already a question that I would like to answer for myself and for my business. And then how can I attract both of them? And what do I need to do that, right? So if we can help you to acquire the agents that will spend money on your platform, go with it, sure. Right. And that will be possible as well. But we kind of need this way to identify who's actually a human, who's behaving like a human as well. And there's things you can read on chain that give you data on that. So we can do that. So it's basically just based on the footprint you leave, we can give an estimation on, is that possibly a human or possibly bot behavior? So that's not bulletproof, but it gives you an estimation of it. You can already make a decision based on that data, and it's kind of easy to come up with that. What's harder is to really have a bulletproof system that says, okay, this must be a human. For this, I need human interaction. I need the human to do something. So in our system, they need to set up their ID, and they need to start to on-ramp some off-chain data. Right? Because then they're verifiably human, especially as soon as they, for example, attest that they have a KYC check in Binance. Right? If you do a attestation or a ZK proof on top of that data point, you're most likely a human, right? Okay. If you have that in your data backpack. So as we're bootstrapping the ID holder set in Solana ID, we're also bootstrapping the amount of verifiable humans, and then we can use that data to market to them if apps prefer that.
Wow. Okay. I think we got to take a moment and just understand that there's actually agents out there. Like, what is it? AI16Z, which is like the play on Andreessen Horowitz, has its own fund and its own agent, and it's out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's completely independent, but it's throwing around $10, $20 million a clip that it trades on.
I'm pretty sure there's human intervention.
I think so too.
I've heard a lot of smart people say that.
Right.
So without being too deep into the actual tech behind A16Z, the agent, I think it's the tip of the iceberg still. So even if that one is not doing like pure agent behavior, there will be one in the near future.
Yes.
So okay. I think that's the smart.
So you could identify good robots or high-value robots,
just
people, and you might want the difference between the two. Because even if there's a bot who's throwing around more investment than your big whale, there are people in your B2B ecosystem that will say, that's all great, but I need a human.
Yeah, so if you can create that data from us, that's cool. But we just don't, we want to use the same system we use for humans also for agents in the internet, because it just makes sense. As soon as they have more power about spending money, as soon as they came in money spending decisions, you want to market to them, right?
How bad are bots right now on Solana? I mean, look, there's tons of meme coins being launched on Solana, and now you've got all these terms like snipers and all these other things. And I've seen what look like really well-intentioned, great community meme coins just get killed from, I think, bot activity.
Yeah, it is definitely a topic that needs attention to be solved. It's not killing anything. It's not, it's not an existential problem, I would say at this stage. But we have big projects that are fighting with it, especially when they want to do token launches, new token launches. Then the snipers come that usually are able, because of their botted activity, to buy the token so early. They detect that the token is being created on chain, and they snipe a big amount of the token at a low valuation and have a big bag, and then they dump it at the top after the humans went in, right? And then you lost against the machine. And no one wanted that really. Like the project is not benefiting from it, the users are not benefiting, only the bot makes money, and the human that is the master of him, right? So that's a problem. And we're coming up with systems to do that, where we have fair launches that are a bit, better orchestrated. I think it needs a couple more months maybe on Solana right now, that we have better systems to launch tokens in a fair way without big snipe activity. But then the bigger problem as well is to have the Sybil attacks when it comes to airdrop campaigns, for example. So airdrops are usually a model that crypto projects use to get attention of people, right? I want you to use my application, so please do this and this and this, because then in future I reward you with an airdrop. But now, if a human sets up a bot farm, a Sybil attack, right? They just set up a lot of accounts that mimic these actions that normally humans are intended to do, and then the bots are farming the airdrop. And then as soon as I do my airdrop, I drop it to like 5,000 accounts, but 4,000 of them are 5 bots, right? That I just created a bunch of wallets. And then it all flows to one human that actually doesn't give a shit about my product. He's just farming with his bot army, right? So we need to solve that problem for sure. And big projects like Jupiter, projects like Bonk, they are fighting with these things. They come up with their own kind of ideas of it, but we don't have a kind of chain agnostic or for now Solana agnostic layer and protocol that solves it for everyone. So that's where Solana ID can come in as well and help with the distribution and identifying who's Sybil, who's not Sybil, who do I want to airdrop to.
So before they airdrop or before they launch a meme coin, they might come to you and say, give me the real people, and I'll only allow those wallets to connect.
Exactly.
That's big, right?
Yeah. So at least it solves a problem that is right now burning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the problem's probably going to get worse.
The more smarter the bots get, I believe it's not getting easier, yeah.
Okay. I mean, just on that note, you're watching AI be developed in parallel with what you're building. We're seeing AI agents as the hot new meta. I don't know how long that will last, who knows? But maybe it will. I guess it's the evolution of AI somehow. What do you think is going to happen going forward in that space? And I guess
there's a future for it, that's for sure. It is big. It is, again, internet-changing technology. I think we'll see more than 30% of activity on chain from agents, not humans, in the near future. Because like I said, they have money accounts, they can spend, they can make decisions, right? So we need to treat them as serious players in the internet going forward, right? I think that's big for sure. And crypto is kind of their natural home turf, I would say, the crypto sector. Because here they don't need to talk to a bank or something to get an account. Right. They just set up their crypto wallet, they fund it, someone funds it, and they can go and do things and trade. So all the DeFi apps that you have right now, where you provide liquidity, where you do leverage trading and so on, that can be all done by bots and agents as well. I think it will happen in the future. And right now we're at the kind of exploration phase. As soon as there's a new technology and you add crypto to the mix, it goes crazy because you have this money element of it.
Yeah.
So people create this bubble, right? That's where we are right now. We're in the agent bubble. It's going to go higher, right? That's my prediction, at least. I think we're not done yet with, milking the cow. So there will be much more money flowing into the sector. Like when the economy picks up, when global liquidity picks up, I think agents will be a thing in 2025. It might be the new kind of the DeFi summer from back in the 2020, 2021, now might be the agent summer in 2025. Right? So that's a thesis I put out there. But then obviously the bubble bursts at some point, and like always, and the good protocols, the good agents, they survive and they carry the whole narrative forward. So this will happen, and it's a changing technology. And for us as Solana ID, we see potential as well, because those agents need IDs. They leave a trace on chain. Humans want to understand them better, right? They want to know if it's really an agent, what kind of behavior does he have, and if we can give them a behavior profile and so on. You just plug in the contract address of the agent, and we can give a good, very interesting analysis of the on-chain behavior, the solid score of him, and so on, like some data. You can use that data to market, to make decisions on top of it, and so on.
In the future, my solid score might incorporate also my agents.
If you have,
maybe I plug them in, and I have to live and die by their behavior. And if they've been behaved well in the past, then my score goes up. And if they don't,
if you're the master of them,
maybe I'm known. Maybe they're known as I'm the master of them, which gives them high scores.
Potentially.
Possibly,
Yeah,
right.
we're looking in the future.
Now, at the same time, people said that blockchain is the best place for AI or the AI discernment, because in blockchain, there's provenance of the data. You can track everything and you could assign identities there. So in many ways, it can accelerate the problem, but it also is the solution, more so than in a Web 2 world, right?
I would say so. Yeah, I think that's right. I think, like I said, it's kind of the home turf, right, for agents, the whole crypto space. We just need to make sure that they don't dominate. That's also what I like to say about Solana ID. We just help humans to kind of keep the upper hand about everything, because as soon as we kind of lose the power and the control over the agents and we can't distinguish anymore who's who and what content is real and what is fake and so on, it kind of gets dangerous very quickly, right? The more sophisticated they get as well. So we want to remain the masters, right? We want to remain the ID providers to the agents, not vice versa. So I think we just need to be careful, as always, when we have these kind of acceleration technologies, that we don't accelerate at a pace that will outpace us, I would say.
It's already getting wacky,
It
in
is
my
a bit,
opinion.
yeah, it is a bit.
I mean, it's
crazy.
already getting crazy wacky. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that there's AI agents like AI 16Z that are, managing, I think, like last time I checked, $300 or $400 million. The fact that there are AI agents on Twitter that just post all the time, and that people follow what the AI Twitter account says, and when they mention a meme coin like GOAT, it goes to the moon. It's just like, okay, this is getting really crazy.
Information technology has always been crazy. It has always kind of been the start of the exponential age. Just now the slope is just like getting higher and higher.
Hey, look, a couple years ago, I went down the rabbit hole on AI because I got a little freaked out, and I got 2 little young boys, and I was worried. I was like, their teenage years are going to be nothing like mine. And I got really worried. I had all these AI experts on. And, you kind of get 2 fields. One, people say, oh, we're always worried about technology. The automobile was going to replace this. No, there were more jobs. Oh, the computer's going to replace this. No, there were more jobs. But they always forget that none of those things had agency. So you can always go back and say, okay, yeah, but they didn't have agency. They couldn't make their own decisions, this tech. And so I think people are really underestimating.
I think so too.
And like you said, the slope just
Yes.
went what looks like to us vertical.
It's difficult to keep up, right? With the amount it develops, right?
No.
And it doesn't take breaks. That's the thing. Agents don't, they don't go on vacation. They don't sleep, right? That's why I think it's also a big bull case for crypto, honestly, because it will give us much more activity on chain.
Yeah.
It will give us much more stuff to do, apps to use, and so on. Because at the end of the day, apps always are looking like, especially DeFi apps, they're looking for activity. They're looking for TVL. They're looking for, who's using my platform to do something. And agents will be the perfect customer for you in that sense as well, right? If you get them to use your protocol.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild future. Let's talk about the token playbook launch for Solid, because this is really interesting.
Yeah.
It makes you very different as a founder and how you executed it. And obviously, we're investors. I was there on a Twitter space I think on the day of your launch. I think I was talking about it, and it was amazing to see. I think you did a pre-launch on Swissborg, which are good friends of ours. We're investors in them as well. And then a few days later, you did a post-mortem, which I thought was really interesting, where you, I think, called out a couple other maybe competitors in the space. And you called out the way they launched versus the way you launched.
Yeah.
Let's talk real about that. What were you trying to achieve with your launch, and what were you very careful to make a mistake not to do? And just for the record, like, Simon's very serious about this, and you're a very tough negotiator as well, because you wanted the launch to go great. You wanted to take care of your token holders and your community, right?
Yeah. And we wanted to have the value accrual for a large set of holders as early as possible. That's kind of the ultimate goal. Because
most people make money on your launch versus a small few.
If you make many people happy with your project early on, you create a set of super fans and ambassadors that will lift your project up much quicker, right? And I just believe that this is the best way to do it. As long as you make many people happy, they'll help you to push the way forward, right? And that's always going to be our main objective here. I mean, even the Solana ID business case itself is trying to make people happy by giving them more perks on chain, right? But we also want them to own the success of the protocol early on. So instead of letting in like the best 3-4 VCs, and that's it, in your private rounds, doing everything behind curtains and so on, and then screaming loud about it as soon as your token launches, so that then all the attention from the community flocks in. Instead of doing that, we decided to be very transparent and open about everything we do very early on. So the very first funding round, like even before we ever talked together, we already did community participation in the pre-seed round. So instead of just calling up my VC friends and telling them like, I have this deal for you, do you want in? I just called up a few private communities of friends of mine that they're running. Just a Discord server with like 500, 600 people that are all eager to invest and be part of the next tech acceleration. And we showed the deal to them. Some NFT communities on Solana that are just, they're holding NFTs with a high value. They're usually looking for deals for angel investments and so on. Show them what we're doing. And this way, we kind of got up to 70 investors in the pre-seed round, which is an insane amount of investors in a small seed round, pre-seed round. It was not a lot of money that we raised back then as well, because the second big thing we're doing different, besides having a kind of very distributed cap table, is also have a pretty low valuation. I worked in VC before, and when we invested in startups, we looked at their business case, we looked at their revenue streams that might be not existent because it's so early, and we valued them based on what they have, or better, based on the lack of things they have, right? Which is usually not a lot. And then we gave them a valuation, which is like $500,000, $1 million, and so on. In crypto, it's like $50 million, right? Because you're building, the next whatever, and you have this partnership and this one on your website. It's all noise, it's all fake, right? The problem when you start so high is you can't go back. If your first funding round is 50 mil, your second needs to be 250. Otherwise, the first investor is going to be like, what the heck are you doing? Why are we devaluing? Why did I invest so early? So you always need to go up. When you reach token launch, you're going to be at 500 million, 1 billion, 2 billion. That's like the standard in crypto when you launch your project. So in that moment, you're starting to distribute your cap table. At that moment, you let your community in. So now you have like 5, 10 investors that invested at pretty high valuations before. Now you need to do the huge valuation at the public sale and all the community gets in. But the guys that invested earlier, they want their money back very soon. So they will sell the tokens in the next couple of weeks and months as soon as they can, because you launched it at such high valuation and they already made 10x. So all we do right now is just keep things a bit more humble, be a bit more long-term focused, low valuation, big distribution of cap tables, fair vesting schedules, not too long, not too short, that everyone is kind of fair incentivized to hold the token, and just get the right people on board as well. So maybe you felt it a bit when we talk. Every one of our investors felt it, at least to an extent, that we're quite picky. We're not really backing down too quickly because we want the right people in the protocol, because we believe if we have 100 people that believe that we're onto something, they'll stick around, they'll have the bravery to stick around with us and push us forward and don't back out quickly. And that worked out well so far, like this whole strategy. So I think essentially what we did different was the low valuation in the early funding rounds, the big distribution of investors, and the kind of curated model that we have at really looking closely at every deal, talking to the people we let in, not signing the crazy KOL contracts too early, like be a bit more careful with that. We made mistakes on the way, but the mistakes don't outweigh the good decisions we made.
And overall, you launched at a pretty low valuation, 20 mil?
20, yeah.
20 mil. You had some great price appreciation, of course, some volatility afterwards, which is normal.
Yeah.
But then when you wrote that post, it was like, what, a week later or 5 days later?
Yeah.
You compared it with other projects that might have launched at 200 million or 400 million or 500 million that were now maybe below sea level.
Oh, yeah.
And so all these things are below sea level, which means probably every community member is down money. So even if they love you, it's hard to continue loving you after that.
Yeah.
And maybe the VCs already got out. If they're out, then they're not very useful to you. And this is this broken model in crypto that doesn't work anymore. Short-sighted. And again, like how many billion-dollar protocols are there? There's not that many. The top 100 are billion-dollar protocols.
Yeah.
So like all these companies coming out thinking you're going to launch at $1 billion or $2 billion, it's like, no, you're not. And we're seeing a lot more people adopt this strategy, but not everybody has the wherewithal to actually do it.
Yeah,
because it's hard.
It is hard.
You're under pressure.
Yeah.
You're like, God, maybe I should sign that KOL. Maybe I really could use that VC.
It is a bit like, we know it from the fitness journey a bit. Because you always have to kind of, how do you say it? You need to take the short-term pain right now for the long-term pleasure. Right? That's gym, right? Because it fucking hurts, like you're lifting the weights and it's painful and it sucks and you're sweating and it doesn't give you anything right now, really. It just sucks right now. But like in a month from now, you might, feel a bit better. Your muscles are growing, you feel stronger, But it's like a month from now. Like how, at that moment right now when I feel the pain, I just want that pain to go away. So it's very human in business and your personal life, your health, journey, to make bad decisions for short-term pleasure, for long-term pain. And in crypto, it's the same shit, like all over again. Because, oh yeah, I want this VC to be on board with me. Whatever they say, I'll take it. Like just take the deal. Like fuck, whatever. Like I want the logo on my website because it will give me 50,000 more followers on X. They don't give a shit about you when they come. The VC doesn't give a shit about you because he just wants his terms. So just, think a bit more in the long term. It will be painful in the short term. But as builders, like me and my co-founders, we learned that long ago. We had our bad times already. Right now we're having fun. Like even if it's hard right now, it's much better than it was a year from now or 2 years from now. It's been much worse. So yeah, I think looking at the token and how reflecting on it, the journey was really well. We're still above the pre-seed, the seed and the public valuation, even though we're at the lowest point right now that we've been ever after the launch. Solana dumped, Bitcoin dumped. We saw the big red candle 2 days ago. Everyone is scared. But we're kind of holding, and we didn't even launch our product yet. We don't even have the utility of the token yet. We didn't do the larger outreach campaigns. We're just consolidating. So I think the strategy so far worked out really well. And last comment as well, you mentioned Swissborg. We did it with them. We did it with the launchpad that they came up with, Borgpad. And they just did their second sale yesterday, I think. So second sale after us. Obviously, we've been a bit the guinea pig because we've been the first sale on Borgpad. A few things didn't went well with us. We had to kind of suck it up. Nothing happened. But obviously now they did everything better with the second one. And it worked out. It was an even better launch. It was the same kind of model. Low FTV, right? Like low valuation, community-centric, and then a fair launch on the launchpad with getting people in early on. It was beautiful. Like nice chart, went up. They have two big advantages, which is they learn from our mistakes and they're riding the agent wave. It's an agent launchpad.
Got it.
But good job for Borgpad. Like they're doing a great job there.
Yeah, and again, just back to the community and being transparent.
Yeah.
That's gonna win in the long run.
Yep.
Tell me about your previous protocol and then your background in VC. Because this guy right here isn't built as a first-time founder in Web3. And the reason you guys are enjoying yourself now and you're up post-token launch and you got all these massive potential is because of your experience.
I would say so. I mean, when we started in crypto, we just made the decision that we want to be in the crypto sector. We didn't know yet what we want to build, honestly, because me and my co-founder, we're both business people. We're very good at, coming up with ideas and executing on them, using our kind of network that we have to execute on them and coming up with good marketing strategies around them to push them. And with that kind of skill set, we went into crypto and we said, what can we do here? We're in this new fertile land with our capabilities and skills. What are we doing here? We quit our jobs. We're like, let's just do something. That's how it started. And we found an accelerator, like a German VC fund, that saw that. And they saw, okay, you guys actually have some skill set that can be useful in crypto. We're going to help you, come up with an idea and build on top of it. That's where the first kind of seed was planted for what's now Solana ID back then. It was a very different protocol, different name, slightly different pitch. But the idea that we're following, which is tattooed on my arm even, it's a lotus flower, is the whole concept of karma. We wanted to help people to prove that they did good things in the internet and then use that reputation to get more rewards. Very simple concept. We just believe in karma. That was the initial thing we planned to do. And since then, we also have the company logo, which is a lotus flower. It kind of obviously evolved into what it is today, but it's still a lotus, right? So the idea back then was different from what it was today, but the essence was the same. But in 2023, bear market was there. We didn't really have a strong direction. We were very chain agnostic. We didn't know where's our home in terms of blockchains. So we didn't have the right strategic partnerships in place. And it was very hard for us to come up with a product market fit because the chains we built on had no users and no apps really. So how do you want to find product market fit if there's no market? So that was the biggest challenge for us. So we just used the time to research, to build prototypes, right, to learn. So it was kind of it was grinding, a lot of grinding. And then we took the learnings from back then, from those days, early 2024, actually here in Dubai, there was the start of Solana ID. We took the learnings from then and we put them all into Solana ID, rebranded, and put ourselves there on the radar on Solana, a blockchain that has a strong name, a lot of users, and a lot of apps. And now we could find product market fit, right? So this is how the journey kind of went from being really completely early to crypto with no idea to an initial seed that was planted to like a whole year of grinding and essentially failing and then pivoting into what's now Solana ID, and I would say a pretty successful protocol on Solana.
And the name and the chain and everything around it has given you tons of propulsion.
It gave us wings to fly, I would say.
Crazy how something that simple can make a difference.
Yeah,
it's marketing.
It's branding, essentially, right?
I mean, we're in an attention economy. You have to get people's attention in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
right?
But I think I wouldn't underestimate the fact that Solana also brought the users and apps to do something with. It's the biggest problem of most layer one blockchains out there. They don't have anything to do because they're lacking the users and apps. And it's so hard to bootstrap that. I wouldn't put myself in the shoes, I wouldn't want to put myself in the shoes of someone that is working in the marketing department of some layer one chain right now that's not Solana or Ethereum. Such a hard job to capture mindshare and attention and users and even apps and builders. Like Solana has a hard time to get strong builders and founders to build applications on their chain. And they're doing a lot of stuff and spend a lot of money on trying to make them happy. And even they have a hard time.
Well said. Talk to me about Solana. What is Solana? I attended my first breakpoint in Singapore this year. And I was at Token 2049 before. And if people are not in crypto, Token is, I'd say it's more of a general conference. There's a lot of institutions there. There were 20,000 people there. It was huge. All the booths are there and everybody's on stage and all these important people. And then I rolled over to Breakpoint and it was like, it felt like a club. It felt like a bunch of people doing cool stuff. And there were games and then meme coins. And somebody pulled me aside and said, Brian, you know, Solana's all about freedom and freedom of speech. He's like, yeah, there's a lot of wacky meme coins out there, but we have the freedom to do it. And he said, if you go to the base chain, because it's associated with Coinbase, they're not going to allow certain things because they have a corporate brand to worry about. In Solana, we can do what we want to do, which is the essence of why we're even in Web3. And it felt totally different there.
Yeah.
I always joke, only at a Solana conference does the president of a DEX get a standing ovation when he comes on the stage.
Which
right?
one was that?
It
Do you
was
remember?
Jupiter, I think.
Oh, nah, shit.
And a standing ovation. I was like, okay, I don't think there's any DEX in Ethereum where the guy gets a standing ovation. And so it just goes to show you it's this club. It's like everybody loves being there. They're all doing things, maybe making money. And then this DEX is like a big part of that. And so they're like, they're rock stars. And so, yeah, that's what I got from Solana. What do you get from Solana? How do you call it?
I think there's a few things we can double tap on and also maybe even talk about some things people are not so aware of. And there's also some shady parts of it and some negative things about Solana, like with every chain, right? You have that with every corporation. Happy to kind of even talk about these. But essentially, on the bright side of things, Solana, first of all, has the right tech, right? It's a low latency, cheap and fast blockchain that is still evolving and not done yet, right? But you can execute transactions quickly, as quick as possible, very, very cheap. And you couldn't build what we've been building on Solana on other blockchains, especially not on Ethereum mainnet, right? So the tech is great and it's simple, it's easy, it's one layer. You don't need to worry about other kind of bridging to other layers. And it's kind of this, like Ethereum for me is this kind of huge ass castle with a lot of rooms and it's kind of complicated. You don't know where you end up. It's like a labyrinth, right? And then in Solana, you have this neat, easy skyscraper. It's like very straightforward, very, thin and fast and nicely designed. So it just makes things very easier to build for apps on that blockchain as well. And the tech is great. I've met a lot of builders and technical people that have studied computer science and even worked in IT for 30, 40 years. So very senior people. And I talk about them and I ask them, what was your journey like when you came from Ethereum using Solidity as the smart contract language to build apps on Ethereum? What was the journey arriving at Solana and now using Rust to build Solana applications? And they said, I would never go back. It would be fatal to go back. I would never build on Ethereum before. When I heard these things from them, I was like, wow, this is more serious than I thought. I thought, I still think Ethereum is somehow, worthy of being the main name out there in crypto. But I think the fallacy here is they've just been early and they are benefiting from the network effects. They've been early enough to have all the builders, all the capital and the name and the brand that they are where they are. But the tech is not superior. It is inferior. So why would I build there? So it's dangerous even because we don't want to build a blockchain because it has a great brand and name. We want to build on the blockchain that has the safest, securest, and best tech for apps going forward. Solana has that. I'm pretty convinced of that by now. Even I have not studied computer science, but the people I trust that have, I believe them.
Okay.
So I think Solana has that, and it has the edge. And then besides that, the next point would be the community, and that was the emotions that you felt when you had the IRL events. People on Solana are they're genuine good people if you talk about the builders that are not there for the quick buck and the money. And there's lots of them. There's lots of the builders that are building dope-ass applications that just want to, build a great product. They want users to enjoy their app, and they feel good about it when they see people using the application. They feel better about that than seeing a big number on their bank account. That comes with it, right? So many rich people on Solana that build great apps, but they essentially care more about the app, the product, the community, everything around it than the money. The money comes with it. And we want the money as well, right? Don't get me wrong. But these kind of builders, they looped me in. That's why I say it started here in Dubai, because I was at one of those IRL events where you live together with other builders. And I was living at that villa, and you saw the villa and how it looks like and how the feeling is. And I saw all these builders on Solana and how they're like, and I was like, wow, this is different. Like, these people are so serious about it, they're very helpful, I think I want to be part of that as a human. Like, this is so much fun for me to build in, and I think it's fruitful. I think here I can thrive. Solana Foundation created this, like I said, very fertile land for builders to thrive in. And that is a big shout out to them that they made that happen.
Nice. And they also invested in you as well.
They gave us a small grant, yes.
Okay.
Through the super team structure. So super teams are the regional teams of Solana communities, and you can apply for grants to them, and they are funded by the foundation.
Yeah, and I was at that Hacker's House, or Founders Villa. Founders Villa is what they call it.
That's the correct name.
That. Hacker's House is so 2021, right?
Exactly, it's outdated.
But it was amazing. Like, I went by twice, and I actually loved hanging out there. I was going from villa to villa to villa, just walking in and just seeing who I could start talking to. Yeah. And then they had the pitch days, and they had good food, and it was just good vibes.
100%.
Like, you were being taken care of by Solana.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen that happen at any other blockchain.
Yep. But it's transactional, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to deliver.
Right.
Like, you're not going to be invited to these events if you behave bad. I've seen people being declined to join those events because they have a bad track record, or they didn't really, they're not providing value to the ecosystem. Again, karma, bitch. Like, either you do good and you get good or not. And foundation they just want to try to make the chain, grow as a whole by getting the right builders on board, and that's what those founders villas are there for. And I've met great friends there, like, not gonna lie, great people that are really close with me now. I love every time I see them, very positive emotions, and we work together. Our content team, super team, Founders Villa, right? Our dev shop in Croatia, super team Balkans, different kind of event that I went to in Croatia. Like, one of our kind of core team members, super team Germany, right? Like, they're all kind of connected to those communities. You find the great people there. It's for business, it's great.
And now your travel schedule is around Solana events, you told me. So for the next year, you're traveling around the world going to Solana events.
Yeah, we did that last year already, right? So me personally, I don't have a base. Like, I don't pay a fixed rent anywhere in the world. So I'm very flexible. If I would pay, like $1,000 per month for my apartment in Germany, I'd think twice to go somewhere. But right now I need to go somewhere. Otherwise, where do I live? So I'm always looking to where we go. So while I'm in Dubai now, I just do some business here. I met with you, but then I have Solana Bali coming up. It's an event in Bali, 1 month of co-working and co-living together with other builders. And we're sponsoring with the event. We're equipping people with a Solana ID physical card. So everyone who comes there gets a Solana ID. We have a virtual card even, by the way. You can scan, you can collect points with it, just for fun. But we're getting exposure in the ecosystem, and I meet great people there on the ground, right? And then once that's over, we're going to go to the next one. Maybe there's a conference in Hong Kong, I think, coming up that's more chain agnostic. We're going to be there for a few days. There might be some stuff in Dubai again in April. We're going to be there for sure. There's always something in Solana to attend to, and I'm trying to be there on the ground all the time. Which is also great for us because we're B2B. We need to know the businesses. And I have direct lines to almost every company on Solana that has a name.
Yeah, that's another reason you've been successful as well.
I guess so.
Your personal relationships with all the B2B players in Solana.
Yeah, there's two things there, right? You need to know them personally, because then you can get aligned to them easily. and they need to like you, right? Otherwise, they don't give a shit about, working with you. So I always try to over-deliver. When someone asks me something, I give them. I don't expect them to give me something in return now. I don't give a shit if they give me something in return at any moment in time, actually, because I believe in karma. It's going to come back at some point. But I think that's the best way to do business. We need more, and I do it also because I think we need more people like that. And I see people doing it very differently, trying to extract value all the time, asking for things all the time, never giving, and I hate it. I strongly, and I think it's not professional, and it will lead again to short-term success for your business, and then it will kill you. So it will sort it out naturally, but I'm trying to just do the opposite, and it has been working out really well for me, and it's so much more fun as well to do it that way, honestly.
I want to come back to karma in a second, but tell me about the dark side of Solana.
Well, I think people talk about it, that it's a bit exclusive. People use the name Cabal a lot, the Solana Cabal, an insider circle. If you're in, you're in. So if people look from the outside on Solana, that's sometimes how they talk about it. And to a certain extent, it's true, right? If you have the right directions to the inner circles. So Solana launched back then, very early on. I mean, not that early. 2021, it went to mainnet. Before that, there were some private rounds. We have a lot of people that have big names, but they are behind the curtain. You actually don't know them, but they bought in big back then. They made big money on Solana. They bought it for 90 cents or whatever. Now we're at $200, right? $190. So they made a lot of money on it. And these people, they pulled some strings. If you know them, it helps you, right? They can give you $500 million to your validator after a dinner, just for fun. And if you run that validator, now you have 20K per month of income stream because they gave you the money. If you know these people, it helps, right? So sure, but tell me a business, tell me an ecosystem, tell me anything in the world where network doesn't help, right? Where it doesn't help to be connected to the inner circle. So Solana has that for sure, but it got better as well through the super team structure. For example, it's very easy to get into the ecosystem and find some ways to even if you don't have connections to foundation, find some ways to thrive. So I think super team is one of the cheat codes they came up with to decentralize the whole system more, make it more fair for people all around the world. If anyone is interested to build on Solana, just find your local super team, find a line to them, apply, for a grant, come with an idea, right? Don't come there and say, hi, I want money, can you, help me? No, just come there with an idea, be ambitious, and they'll help you. They'll take you on board, they give you the NFT as member of Solana ID, Solana super team, and they will fund your first project with $5,000 even, right? So it works. But there is still this kind of insider kind of circle and cabal, and if you connect it there, it helps. It's a fast track, right? I would say. Okay. Which is natural. It's not bad.
That's a good assessment of the ecosystem. I like that. Is karma real, and have you always felt that way? That's my question.
100,000%. Why is it real? Because it gets real if you believe in it, as many things in the world, right? And you're attracting stuff, right? If you behave like a dickhead all day long, you're gonna get the same back. And it might be a law of nature. I think it's the law of attraction, right? That kind of does that to you. And I've been a believer in that ever since, and since many years. And I think it's just a beautiful way to live your life, because if you believe strongly in it, you are giving a lot of value into the world, and you're attracting value to get back to you. And the thing is, if you start doing it, it's like a muscle. You train to do it, and you feel like, oh, it's real. It's becoming real. It actually works out, right? So since my teenage years, I just try to do the right things. Let my schoolmates write for my homework, no problem, take it. I never said no, it's mine. I did that. You do your homework. Fuck it. And everyone was friends with me then. And everyone was like, oh, Simon, it's helpful and it helps. And I was like, okay, this seems like a good way to live your life. And since then, I tried to keep doing this. Whatever I did. In my first jobs, I used to work in the fitness industry, obviously. So I was personal trainer at some point of my early 20s. I had my own personal training brand. I had my own customers, I had my clients. I always tried to behave in a good way, be kind, give more than I take. And it always came back to me. And I was like, when I did something, it worked out really well. I was like, oh, this business is thriving now. I make a lot of money. How can I scale? Okay, let's do the next thing. I did the next thing. At one point of my life, I worked on a cruise ship. I worked as a personal trainer on the cruise ship. And I was like, okay, how can I be good at this job? I tried to figure out the system. I tried to behave well. And I was one of the top salespeople in the whole fleet. I was like, oh, wow, this works. And it's like a muscle. You train it and it starts to work out really well. And I think that's super powerful. And then now I just believe it's the way it is, right? And as long as I follow my principle that way, life's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think karma's real. It took me a long time to figure that out. I come from a science background, and in science, there's no karma. And so they don't teach, there's no science degree at MIT, a karma degree at MIT.
Degree.
So I didn't really get it when I was younger. And then I worked in the banking industry. And the banking industry, there ain't a lot of karma, let's just say that. You're literally, you make money when your
predatory.
colleague loses money. You make money when your counterparty loses money. It's a real like winner take all. And I got taught that kind of in New York City in the 90s. And it was real cutthroat, let's just say that. And then when I got into broadcasting 14 years ago, I started my YouTube channel and I started putting out different energy in the world. You know, I would have people over and talk about their ideas, and I love promoting people and their ideas, and we weren't getting anything for it. The first time you met me in that world, you got a 2-hour episode of London Real distributed to my followers and maybe would be watched by millions of people. That was our first interaction. And I'm telling you, Simon, like a year later, and a year later after that, and a year later when I would look myself in the mirror and say, like, what are you doing? This is not making money. This is not going anywhere. Everyone thinks you're crazy. But I would say also, I have more friends than I ever had. I'm happier than I've ever had. And I'm enjoying my life more than I ever had. So it was weird. And then the weirdest thing happened when Joe Rogan invited me on his show 2 years later, back in 2013. We flew to LA and I was on the Joe Rogan Experience, which even back then I knew was a big deal. Now everybody knows. And I was like, why would a guy with a podcast have another podcaster on his show? Because I'm clearly going to take his audience. And I was like, but he is. And so this is a new world and a new paradigm that I have to shift to. And I need to change the way I think. And I remember that our early tagline was London Real, putting the BBC out of business, right? The BBC is the British Broadcasting Corporation. And the pun is you can't put them out of business because they literally tax you to fund them and they'll put you in jail if you don't pay. So it was a little bit of a joke because you can't put them out of business. But I remember the BBC called us up one time and wanted to interview one of my guests. And they said, can we send someone to your studio beforehand to interview them in your studio before they go on your show? Every bone inside me was like, no, F you guys, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, no. I used to call it Peace and Love in London Real. I'd be like, no, of course, that would be wonderful. Let's do that. So I just tried to do the opposite of my reaction and try to like give and say yes and do all of those things and retrain myself. Because as Joe would say, there's room for everybody out here. And everyone has their own brand and everyone has their own vibe. And so yeah, I've been relearning my whole last 14 years. To like try to be more pro karma.
There might be a limit to it though, right? I don't know what you think, but
you overdo it.
Right. Where does it stop? Like because you gotta take care of yourself, obviously, and there is a lot of predators out there. So you don't wanna fall into the pitfall of getting sucked up by them. So what is like as a man, like how hard do you need to be in the things you do, the things you execute and the decisions you make? And how soft are you allowed to be in being kind and welcoming to people and saying yes?
Yeah, I always say that I can forgive, but I won't forget. So sometimes I make that mistake. And I forgive because you got to move on, otherwise you're going to be stuck in the past. But then I probably won't do that again with that situation or that person. So yeah, there's a boundary. But like soft and good karma, they don't have to be the same thing, do they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, and
probably the opposite.
And in Web3, the most successful people I see are the ones that give first. And every now and then someone will come to me with like an introduction and they're like, I need a finder's fee. And I was like, bro, I don't do that. Like, I just don't do that, you know? And it's just like, and I don't ask for that ever. It's like, I want to introduce people that I want to. And in Web3, I think if you do enough of that, it comes back to you.
100%. It's also business, right? It's not just in Web3.
Yeah.
I guess like if you're a good business person and you connect people and you add value, the value comes back. So I think karma, if it's real in business, it's realer than ever. But I think just you need to kind of develop this inner sensor that tells you who is bullshit, like who's trying to extract too much value, and then say no to these people, right? So it's not, when I say believe in karma, it doesn't mean like just close your eyes and say yes to everything, right? And welcome every deal. Then I would be the worst negotiator ever as the CEO of my company, right? I need to be kind of tough as well. I need to be able to say no to deals. I need to be able to change the terms here and there and believe in, the company's good, future. But it's more like, it's about fairness, right? If something feels fair to me and feels good and right to do, then I'll help that person out without any regrets and ask for something in return. And it always comes back to some extent. Like
Nice.
I never ask for finder's fee or, I make an intro there and I don't ask, okay, how much do I get now for it? They come back to me. They'd be like, hey, Simon, thanks for the intro. Do you want, 10% cut? And I'm like, sure, whatever. That's much more beautiful than asking.
I agree. It's like it's boundaries. Boundaries with the default of karma. And it does come back to law of attraction and it comes to all that. I'm still learning, honestly, but I'm doing a lot more of that attraction and stuff lately. I used to be a real grinder. And now I still grind, but I also do a lot of attracting. I call it like my 50-50 strategy. Push-pull strategy is what I call it.
Good.
I used to push a lot, and now I'm trying to pull those people towards me. And I'm getting crazy results. I can't explain it scientifically, but I'm also an engineer. And an engineer, when something works in the real world, you do it again. And so that's what I've been practicing.
Yeah, and I think what you did very well so far is you made a few good calls on companies. Like, I think as an investor now, because now you're running London Real Ventures as well, and you have your LPs, and you have people that, watch you and, look at your decisions you make. The people you invest in, the companies you invest in, they need to be, they need to be the right setup, the right companies, right? And you have a pretty good portfolio so far that you built yourself. I think you kind of made some good shots there. Will they all translate into value? We don't know that. It's venture capital, right? Some failed, some do very well. But at least it looks good on the portfolio if you just bet on the right horses in terms of integrity as well and, good builders. And I see a lot of good shots, good long-term plays in the portfolio where I'm like, okay, actually, I would have invested in a company, in that one too, in that one too. And then as a founder, you sit there in your chair and you're like, okay, seems to make good decisions. I think I'm open for a chat with them. So I think if you keep that trajectory, you'll attract more of these plays and more of these businesses, which is great.
Nice. That's really good feedback. I never heard that before. Yeah, it's interesting because we get live pitches from founders. You know the format. You come and everyone listens, and all my LPs are there, and we really go a lot on vibes.
Maybe that's why.
And a lot of vibes, a lot on principles and values and mission, and then also maybe because we add a lot of value too, we can be choosy to choose the best ones as well.
For sure.
But yeah, it's a good point. I'm going to meditate on that. You're also known not just as Solana ID, but as Swolana. And so you're probably the most jacked guy in Web3. Talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Do you miss being a trainer? You also have said you're going to do a competition when you guys hit 100 million, which could be soon.
Good point.
So talk about that and how it's part of your daily routine.
Yeah. So first of all, there was one tweet I did maybe half a year ago. Normally Twitter's, it's memes, it's technical talk. It's not like Instagram, right? You don't share your meals and your fitness journey there. So I was like, why? Why not? Like on Instagram, I'm kind of active. I have this fitness persona there, and it's fun for me. I share my journey. So I posted a picture in my underwear, on Twitter. So, and I'm like, I have some muscles on my body. Without the clothes, it might be even more obvious. So I made the picture, and then I wasn't super active on Twitter. So for me, it was like it actually went viral, the thing. So it was like 50,000 views, and normally I get like 500. I was like, what is happening? And I saw the founder of Solana, Anatoly, commenting below the pic, and he was like, yo, dude, that's amazing. Post your workouts, bro. And I was like, where does this attention come from? People care about it. They actually care. Like on Solana, you have a big community of fitness and lifestyle enthusiasts. Okay. That's why these IRL events work so well as well, where you go, you work out in the mornings, you meditate a little bit, right? And then you just work the whole day. It's kind of this beautiful symbiosis, right? That's also why I kind of feel home on Solana maybe, because for me, this is a very important part of my life. I started as a trainer. I competed in bodybuilding a few times. I went on stage like 7 times in my early 20s. And then I started, to work in business and finance and study in that field. And I didn't really have the time anymore to compete. But yet I woke up every morning. I woke up every morning and I trained. And I kept doing this since more than a decade. And people ask me, okay, so when did you take a break? There was no break. I was like, wow. I've been training more than 12 years, like nonstop. Like the longest break I ever did in that time was probably 1 week when I was on some random island on Vietnam where there was no gym or something like that. But there was no other break. And I'm like, okay. And then people ask me, how are you so committed? Where does your dedication come from? Like, I'm not even trying. It's not even difficult for me. It's difficult for me to stay out of the fucking gym. I don't know if you can relate to that, but that hurts. Like if I can't train for a week, if I'm sick, it's the worst, right? Yeah. I want to feel, my muscles being active. I like to use my body as long as I can, right? We're healthy now. We should fucking make sure that we're longer healthy And as long as we have a benefit from it and use the best. I like to perform, right? In business, personally, as with the way I think and the people I interact with, and also physically. I like to lift heavy shit, get shit done, and do things that hurt, and like all that stuff that makes me live, like that makes me enjoy life. So I think for me, it's just a very natural fit to be the buffest builder on Solana. I kind of after that post with Anatoly's comment, I put that out. Like if you think you're more buff, then let me know. But for now, I'm the buffest builder on Solana.
Is that still the case?
I think it's still the case.
Is anybody even trying to come at you?
Not really.
Okay.
Some people try to say like, oh, I can bench press more, and you're like, maybe. But I'm going to squat more than you. So I have those competitions going on. We have some Telegram chats now with like a couple people in there, like 30 people, where we post our workouts to keep everyone committed. So everyone has to post 3 workouts, otherwise they get kicked from the group. Things like this, just for fun. So we have, for me it's fun at the side to kind of, pursue the fitness journey, help other people to be good at it. And it's just part of my life, honestly.
And for your nomadic lifestyle, I think it's really important because for you, no matter what city you're in, you get up in the morning and you lift. You said that's part of your routine.
That's such a great point. I think people underestimate that. It's kind of this red thread through your life, because my life is fucking wild sometimes. I didn't do the path, the common path. You go to school, you study, you work. Right? Everything was different for me. Right? After high school, with 18, I left Germany. I never really came back. I'm 28 now. I never came back really. I never had my own apartment my whole life. Since I moved out from my parents' house, I never had my own apartment. I always have Airbnbs, hotels, or friends' couches. I thought about that. I was like, wow, it's been more than 10 years. I never had my own apartment. And then my best friend told me, I'm wondering how your apartment would look like. What would you put in your shelf? Because I never did these things. And I don't really give a shit about them. But training and the gym is something that just is like this constant. It gives stability. It gives continuity in my life. However, whatever business I do, whatever friends I meet, whatever girlfriend leaves me, right? Whatever happens in my life, whoever dies in my life, I wake up, I go to the gym.
Yeah. Gives you that base too. And to also mentally get you in the zone you need to be, probably do the work you do every day, right?
Yeah, it helps you also to kind of tune out a bit.
Yeah.
I try to at least half of my workout not to be on my phone. I used to have the full workout, but it doesn't really work out anymore.
Sometimes you get the best ideas when you're training, right? I do sometimes.
Yeah.
At least I think they're the great ideas. 15, 20 minutes into cardio, I'm just like, something will come up.
Yeah.
And then, the team gets a message or something. It's like, okay. But I was like, oh, wow, I didn't come up with this otherwise. So,
yeah. Maybe it's because you're kind of free, right? You're not thinking about anything else. You focus on the thing.
Yeah.
You're in the moment.
Yeah. So your brain, can subvert maybe ego and it's definitely a form of meditation. It can be, and just changing your state. It's big.
I mean, it's beautiful to just do the thing at that moment, right? Because when in the day do we have that we're not distracted by anything? And at least in the gym, I try to, do my set, and do my weights. And during the set, it's really hard to think of anything else. It's really tough sometimes, depending on how you train, right? If you fuck around, sure, it's easy, but not during my training. They're short, they're crisp, they're hard, then I'm out.
Yeah, if you're doing big weight, then you got to stay focused. Yeah, I learned the training game late in my life. I wasn't I was about 30 years old when I finally took it serious. And then it started with martial arts, and then now it's a huge part of my life. But one of my early trainers, martial arts trainers, he said something you just said. He said, training comes first. It comes before your family, it comes before your girlfriend, it comes before your job. And at the time I didn't understand what he was talking about, but they say self-love is self-investment, and if you are willing to do that, it puts you in a beautiful state to then present to the world. And, when people think, oh, I can't train, work's more important, or I got to go do that thing with my family, I always think, I want the best Brian Rose to show up. I don't like being around me when I'm not training. I'm sure you know the feeling. When I haven't trained for a day or two, I'm like, I'm just a little edgy, I'm whatever. But after a training session, a hard one, I mean, I'm cool in the gang, and I can be fun to be around, and I'm good, and I like me. So I prioritize that, and I think it's okay for people to do that.
Yeah,
I think it's important.
There's so many aspects, right? This is more like the emotional, psychological effect, but then also it kind of feels good to be strong, no? It is good to be healthy and strong, and use your muscles, and you actually need that strength element. It's good to have the cardiovascular ability to fucking walk some stairs without, falling over. So there's so many benefits to it. It's just it's a no-brainer, really, right, to do it.
Unfortunately, I think in tech and stuff, sometimes we discount the value of the human body. It's important.
Yeah.
And you never know what's going to happen. I remember I used to train martial arts and trained 10 years with a guy, and someone was like, "Oh, have you gotten to a fight yet?" And I'm like, "Nope, but I'm ready if there ever is one." And as I always tell my sons, they're 7 and 8, I'm like, knowing martial arts will keep you out of fights. And they're like, "Why, Papa?" And I'm like, because people can tell. They can tell, maybe because of your demeanor, your calmness, and it'll actually keep you out of those fights. And again, you never know. Like someone might call me tomorrow and say, "Let's go climb Mount Everest," or "Let's go." Someone 5 years ago challenged me to do an Ironman race. Oof. And I did it 90 days later after training.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I couldn't have done that if I hadn't have been in some type of base shape.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
It's really important. And
I
hope more people embrace it. I didn't know there was a Solana clique that did that. I didn't know that.
It's
I like Solana even more.
Yep.
5 years from now, what does Solana ID look like? So that's 2030. What does it look like?
So the thing is, the internet is changing. So we're changing with it. So 5 years from now, we need to think about how will the internet look like. And I think crypto will be the essential base that the internet is going to be built on. The same way email was new at some point, crypto wallets were new and still are new to an extent. But there will be a moment when you set up a profile and you have a crypto wallet. You have a self-serve account behind your account immediately. And Solana ID wants to be the ad network of that future. So I think we can build the next advertisement network that is fairer to users, that respects their data sovereignty, and loops them into the monetization of things, right? And then still plugs into the apps and applications of the future very easily and helps them to identify the right people in that mass, right? So I think that is a huge business case. That's why I mentioned Google AdSense earlier, because I think this is what it might develop into, right? At the end of the road. And many people forget that when they hear Solana ID, they always think either it's a domain name, or it's like, what does identity even mean? It's very kind of intangible kind of word. But the use cases you can build on top of it, like the ad network, I think that is strong. And that's something people understand as well. And if you build that on a self-sovereign ID layer, it's also a very fair system for everyone involved, right? And it's kind of win-win-win for everyone, the protocol, the user, and the application who's trying to query the data. I think the heavy lifting that we need to do in the next couple of years will be to integrate into what we call display partners on blockchains that will play out our kind of advertisement screens for wallets that log in there, that will be identified by the Solana ID protocol while they're logging in, to show a very targeted message from them, from one of our advertisers. Similar to Google, right? How AdSense works, just for blockchain. And we're missing that element right now in crypto. And as soon as Solana expands, so either in the future there will be only Solana, it might play out as the dominant chain for consumer applications. Obviously, we're going to be part of that. Or we're going to stay in silos, where we have Solana, we have Base, where we have a few other layer 1 blockchains, and we're just going to plug and play, with our project. And there's going to be another ID system, which is white labeled, does the same thing in the other network. And the apps that are built on top of that will use the same protocol, right? Just in a different silo. That is a way we can also play out. But I see the internet evolving into this next era where Web3 becomes the internet again. We stop using those weird names, Web2, Web3, Web1, whatever. We just say, I'm on the internet, right? But it's going to be powered by blockchain technology below it. Everyone has crypto accounts, and Solana ID is going to power those profiles and make sense of the on-chain data, helps people to get their off-chain data in that system as well, and then helps the apps to identify the right people on-chain.
Excellent. And Google AdSense, I mean, that as a standalone business is probably $1 trillion plus business, right? It's the main revenue generator for Google.
Yep.
And so that's big.
That's very big.
People, but they recognize that. Now they see what you're going after.
Yeah.
And I like how you use these terminology like the VIP and the AdSense. It's so important from a communication standpoint, because when people hear ID, like you said, you get lost, and then you're in this rabbit hole of, like you said, like people that just like the concept of it, but there's no value add. So yeah, AdSense is that way forward. We're starting off 25. Some people believe this is maybe the biggest bull market ever. We've got Trump in the presidency. We've got a new SEC chairman. We've got Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. We got rumors of Ripple and Solana ETFs coming up.
Yep.
What do you think is going to happen this next couple years?
So couple years is a pretty big projection.
6 months.
That is easier. So I think this year is going to be still a good year. That's going to be very choppy in the markets. But overall, we're not done with the bull market yet. We haven't seen the tops. We scratched on them. Solana literally scratched on the last all-time high, but didn't break it. That's not it. We're not done here, like for sure. especially looking at what's coming now with the new SEC chair, with Trump being president of the United States again, I don't think this guy is going to slow down anything. He's an accelerator. He's been saying it, and he's going to deliver on it as well. So I think, the global liquidity cycle took a little bit of a break in the past couple of months. Also not done. As soon as we see global liquidity going up again, it will trickle down to crypto for sure. So that's the main driver of the upcoming, let's say, last tail of the bull market that can last for a while. So I think it's going to be either full 2025, that's going to be pretty bullish, or it's going to even stretch into 2026. But that's, again, so far in the future. With the speed things change right now, it's difficult to say. But the next 6 months, I think maybe we see one more correction, but usually that happens through the summer in crypto, and the patterns are pretty easy to rely on for now. But either before the summer we see the new all-time high, I think that's very realistic actually, now with the upcoming inauguration and so on, or after the summer in the second kind of half where usually things pick up, we'd see it then. So I stay optimistic for this year.
Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of that's right. We haven't seen the highs yet. But yeah, they could come a little earlier than we expect. But yeah, and then when everyone thinks one thing, it also does the other. But this should be an amazing year. It really should. And like you said, there's so much development, so much building. We have to crush through those previous all-time highs.
No time to chill right now. Not really. This is still a year to be in the trenches. So as we say in crypto, that means be on your computer, be logged in, talk to the right people and just keep building right now. It's no time for vacation really this year. Yeah,
and it's a time to dial in your routine as well and get everything like on point in your life, is what I would say as well. How can people start with Solana ID? How can I get my ID? How can I get my solid score? If I'm a business, how can I potentially log in your portal, et cetera?
So at this time right now, we're like in the middle of January 2025. At this moment, the best way to at least get exposure to us is by joining the communities that we set up on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, because we're so short before launching things. People seeing this right now, they should just be out there and look for announcements, because Solana ID beta is going to launch later in January, so that's very soon. So if this is being watched after this, we might be already live under app.solana.id. Very straightforward. There's going to be the application. Right now, you can already go on solana.id. Also very easy in the browser. The domain is pretty good. You go in, you see everything about us. You'll find our Twitter. Twitter is where we push the most important announcements. It's actually a really nice page as well, because we take our content really serious. It's fun content to watch, but it's also very informative. So I think the Twitter follow is very important. And then every Saturday, literally every single Saturday, we have community calls. We call them Solid Talks. Similar format that what you experienced in the TGE stream. We have this every Saturday. For people who are new to our company and new to the protocol, new to the community, just dialing in there for 1 hour on a Saturday is a great way to kind of meet the founders, get a vibe of the community, and see what we'll talk about. We usually reflect on the past week, what's new, what's upcoming in the next week, what are topics on the founders' minds right now. In full sense of transparency, we do these talks every single Saturday. So that's a great way to kind of interact with us. 3 p.m. UTC every Saturday, Solid Talk on Twitter, broadcasted on our profile. So that's a good way to start. And then we're active in Discord and Telegram chats pretty much every day, answering questions and being out there. So until the product is really live, those would be the first instances. And then when the product is live, then just get your Solana ID.
Love it, man. Now I want mine. I want to be in the top tier like everybody else. Look, I think the way you communicate is so important. I wish more projects would be as transparent as you. When I go to your Twitter feed, I just see tons of video of you constantly communicating and communicating with other media as well. And I think it's really important. I think so many founders just don't do it, or they don't put themselves out there. But that's what people need, constant communication. That's actually great leadership, I think. So that's super cool that you're doing that. Look, Simon, I'm pumped, man. I'm super excited we got to be a part of this. I'm so glad I met you at the Founders Villa and that we made all this happen. I'm really excited, and I just see this massive future for you guys. So thank you on behalf of myself and all of our LPs. We're just pumped to be on this journey for the next few years, and we're here to do it with you.
Cool. I appreciate that. Appreciate the support and everything. It also was a really fun conversation here on the channel, so thanks for that as well.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
Cool, man. I just want to say thanks to Web3 TV. We will see you next time.
Web3.tv